Hi, beautiful. I am hoping to send you a little extra hug tonight. My name is Tuesday, and I'm a fantasy fiction author, and I write under the name Mary E. Twomey. I was having a little bit of trouble sleeping tonight, and I'm guessing since you found me on this channel, maybe you are too. So I thought us goofball weirdos could stick together, because I happen to write fantasy fiction for dorks like you and me. I happen to sleep better when I can go to sleep to a book. So I thought it might be fun if I read you a chapter of one of my books tonight and give you a chance to decompress from your day, spent taking care of yourself and taking care of others, spent working, spent playing, spent thinking, spent planning, and give you a chance to just be for a minute and let me read to you. And this is Cricket, and Cricket was having trouble sleeping too. So you're stuck with both of us tonight. Cricket is my toy pom, and she loves to snuggle. So I thought I would snuggle a puppy while I read to you guys. So this is my book, Savage Hearts, and it is book 1 in the Savage Hearts series. So here we go. Chapter 1, Act or Accept. And this is Adelita. You were supposed to be gone by 7, Tomas scolds me on the speakerphone as I straighten up my office. You're trying to read. She's trying to read. I can picture his rounded chin turning from left to right while he wears his usual good-natured grin. He always lectures me with a smile. Warmth spreads through my arms when it's clear that he cares. It's a comfort to know that anyone cares if I'm the last therapist here. Sometimes I stay too late tidying up the building. But honestly, how is my patient with crippling OCD supposed to have a productive session if the office isn't presentable? My last patient needed the extra 10 minutes. I'm just packing up for the night, I promise. Lara is coming your way now. Then, in a sing-song voice, I add, put on your gracious smile for her mother. I don't have the courage to tell Tomas that I wouldn't dare stay much later tonight. For 3 days now, I've had the distinct feeling that I'm being followed. I've been careful, not doing anything extraordinary that might make me stand out, but I still feel the eyes every time I walk out of the office or from my apartment. Mama warned me about this. We moved around so much because she was afraid my birth father was following us. It's been 2 years since she passed. I assumed the stalking would have ended then. It was her he was after, not me. Never me. Tomas sighs heavily before he ends the call, and I chuckle because I completely understand. Lara, my last patient on Tuesdays, doesn't travel with her own personal sunshine. That is most likely because Lara's mother is the storm that shows up with no warning or reason, demanding to be obeyed at any volume she good and well pleases. Fun times. I only have to deal with the antagonistic mother 1 hour a week. I cannot imagine Lara's stress. I tap my scheduler app, making sure I'm up to date on all my patients' needs. The orange pillows on my leather couch flourish nicely with a few fluffs, looking just about perfect when I set them back down. One of my patients tomorrow is a 12-year-old on the spectrum who suffers from many things, not the least of which is an anxiety disorder. I don't want anything to set her off. The fuzzy side of the pillows are turned around so she doesn't have to see or touch them. The evening comes sooner and sooner as the weeks have grown colder. I hope my lavender cardigan will be enough to fend off the early autumn chill. I smile conspiratorially at Tomas on the way out. He's trying not to argue with Lara's mother. The poor, miserable woman insists on always being right, even though she rarely is. Tomas's eyes widen for a moment with sheer exasperation, but then flick back to the appointment book to figure out where Lara would best fit. I'm sure we can find something to work with Laura's theater schedule. The 20th won't do? Lara opens her mouth, but her mother speaks for her, a thing I've been coaching them both through. The 20th is the dress rehearsal for Lara's show, the big show, the one I've mentioned at least 4 times in the past 2 weeks. I can tell you listen about as well as her shrink. She leans her elbow on Tomas's desk. I know she sees I'm standing right here, but she doesn't bother to coat her words with anything resembling sugar or politeness. Honestly, her eyes are freakish. I can barely listen to her half the time because I'm trying to figure out how she got that horrific genetic defect. Sure, my eyes are the reason she can't listen. I purse my lips. My eyes are blue, which, sure, is an anomaly, but it's not like I can help that I stand out from the sea of varying shades of brown eyes that exist in nearly every other person in the world. Apparently, that's a trait I got from my birth father. I know approximately 2 things about him: that he stalked my mother, and he has eyes the color of sapphires, like me. I've long since passed the point where I feel the need to justify my appearance to myself or to people. But that one detail has been the constant slow drip from birth. I dip my hand into my pocket and squeeze my stress toy. Most of my patients use a squishy ball and grip it when they feel agitated. My stress object is a tungsten tube half the length of a pencil. It's supposed to be the strongest steel in the world. I watched videos of the world's self-proclaimed toughest man trying to bend a tungsten rod, and he couldn't. Of course, the little rods hadn't been tested on the world's strongest woman. I have a whole box of these tungsten tubes that I've bent or broken while trying to hide my stress. Come on, Lara. We went over this. Act or accept. Act or accept. You can act by speaking up for yourself, or you can accept your mother's acerbic behavior, which makes you complicit. Lara says nothing the entire time her mother degrades me and Thomas, which is no real surprise. It's an indicator she still hasn't found her voice. That's what therapy is for. We'll get there. I examine the scene closer, trying to really see the teenager who is always trying to disappear in plain view. Judging by the way Lara looks forlornly at her shoes and then with a pleading look at Tomas to forgive her mother's acerbic demeanor, I can tell that yes, perhaps Lara has found her voice. She just doesn't know what to do with it. She doesn't trust it enough to put volume to her heart. Perhaps Lara is convinced that if she dares voice who she is, it won't matter to the universe. That she won't matter. I can understand that. I love my job. It allows me to connect with people while still keeping them at a distance. Connect and release. Connect and release. It's a good rhythm for me. I don't like things too intense. Tomas catches my eye and releases a deep breath that moves his bulbous belly. It reminds us both to exhale through the insults, the insinuations, and the general crap that comes when you've been signed on to help humanity long after they've run out of answers. I give him a bolstering smile with my eyes crossed, just to give him a little comic relief. I'm grateful for my office ally. I move through the exit and inhale the gorgeous perfume of the outdoors. Sure, it's got notes of asphalt, cinnamon from the churro shop next door, and about 1,000 cigarette butts that litter the walkway, but I can also pick out the fragrance of foliage. Pops of nature line the quaint parking lot, along with the few flowers that have held on to the very end of the season and dared set foot into the next. There's another bit of poetry I'm grateful for. Some days I'm so surrounded by the melancholy and angst that I cling to the pops of beauty, however sparse. The flowers are a bright spot in my evening, so I make a point not to take them for granted. My feet stop short on the way to my silver sedan. I look behind me, flipping my shoulder-length wavy black hair to see if Lara followed behind. I feel eyes on me again, but when I turn, she's not there. She's still in the building, no doubt silently dying inside while her mother talks down to Tomas. I know well the difference between paranoia and a true worry. The feeling of being watched is no dismissible notion. My keys are clutched in my fist as I keep walking. This time, when I stop again, it's because Lara and her mother are clicking their heels to their car. The red Mustang is a source of contention between the two of them. It belonged to Lara's grandmother, and she doesn't feel right being in it, now that her grandmother has passed. Lara's mother took ownership of it the second her own mother was diagnosed with cancer, along with many other trinkets from the home. It was like watching a legal theft take place. That had been a series of long therapy sessions in which I tried not to internalize and compare their situation to my own. My mama had done her best, with both of us working 2 jobs apiece to put me through college. We took the bus and ate beans so I could get an education. Once I graduated and got my first career job, the plan was for me to buy us a car, just like the used silver sedan I'm walking toward now, so Mama never had to take the bus again. I scrunched my eyes shut to scrub my mind of the bus crash that left me an orphan on the way home from my college graduation. I'd been wearing my cap and gown still because Mama insisted I never take it off. She bragged to everyone on the bus that day that her daughter was a college graduate. I bite my lip through the flash of golden eyes, long black hair, and skin a shade of brown darker than mine, who pulled me from the crash. Me, but not Mama. Me, and no one else. His face still haunts my dreams. Santiago. He's the only other person with oddly colored eyes I've ever seen. He dragged me out of the wreckage. All I could comprehend was his name and a string of syllables that he spoke over my body, with the reverence of one casting forth a blessing. When he finished, there was a note of contentment, like he was proud of a job well done. Now you'll only be as strong as you are gentle. I didn't get out a full sentence before he kissed my forehead, laid my shaking form on the concrete, and ran. I see his face in my mind at least once a day, though it's been 2 years since that horrible afternoon. I didn't need more power. I was already born with too much. I'd needed my mama. But what he gave me was an increase in the ability to do things like bend steel as easily as one bends a plastic straw. Lucky me. I swallow hard, reminding myself that it's been 2 years since the crash. I should be able to get through an entire day without feeling the jarring terror of the bus crash. I should be able to walk to my car without visualizing the man with golden eyes. I shouldn't hear Santiago's voice, filled with wonder over the grand gift of too much strength he was unleashing in me. It had been a struggle to hide my strength growing up. Now I have to be extra careful because my muscle is tied to how gentle I am. I should be able to look at my car without missing my mama. I roll my shoulders and push out the melancholy with a few measured breaths. I unlock my door and reach for the handle, but the thing refuses to open. I frown, confused that anything gives me pause. I've never had a door stick in my life. My brow furrows as I stare at the handle, completely flummoxed. I grip once more and tug, but only manage to rip the silver handle clear off the door. Carajo! Quickly, I bury my fist in my pocket, horrified that I've slipped out in the open. Lara tucks herself in her mother's car. Her mother slams her own door shut without noticing my misstep, texting up a storm as she starts driving. It's the one time I'm grateful Lara's mother doesn't notice the world around her, though I worry for everyone else on the road she travels. I grimace at the sight of the torn-off handle in my fist as I take it back out of my cardigan pocket. Not for the first time, I'm confused at my own ridiculous strength. Though no one's there to witness my befuddlement, I feel someone watching. Careful to check the parking lot for anyone nearby, I work my fingers into the groove between the door and the car and do what I can to pry the thing open. It's not cold enough for ice to have set in and fused the door shut, though even this option has me shaking my head. I'm stronger than ice. Tomas trots out of the building and waves at me. Have a good night, Adelita. You too, Tomas. I try to sound and appear casual as I meander to my passenger side door and pop that open with no issue. I scoot in, feeling foolish as I crawl over the console so I can get into my own driver's seat. I don't even work my keys into the ignition before I realize the source of that eerie being watched feeling. I didn't notice the 2 men in cutoffs and camo t-shirts before, but now I see them running for Tomas. The sweet receptionist's only defense is a bleat of fear before he's shoved roughly to the ground. His round chin skips on the asphalt, and the contents of his messenger bag spills all over the ground. "Hey!" I shout, but the two attackers don't turn toward me. Act or accept. Act or accept. It's unclear if the muscular men are armed, if they're trying to rob Tomas, or exactly what they want. But as they've pushed the meek secretary, I decide I have all the information I need to involve myself. Tomas makes my life easier by respecting my schedule and not making appointments for me outside my set days. We knit coffee cup cozies on our lunch breaks together for every new patient. Who would hurt a precious soul like that? My door is still stuck, but I don't have it in me to waste time crawling back out the passenger side to confront them. Tomas is crying and guarding his face in a ball on the ground. No part of me can accept this. I have to get out there. Something in me snaps. Without bothering with the handle, I shove at the driver's side door with my shoulder, confused at the metallic screech when it bangs open. I don't worry about the weirdness of my car, but push everything out of my mind as I glower at the men who have nothing better to do than beat up on poor Tomas. Let him go! I should really start carrying pepper spray. If they don't back off him, I might have to resort to force. I'm not worried about losing in a fist fight. I dread winning. I don't want to think about how bloody it all might get if they don't back down. I stop halfway there, hoping desperately that they scatter. One of the two assailants, a guy with a narrow face and slicked back hair pulled into a man bun, juts his chin out at me, almost like he's actually about to negotiate. His eyes alight on mine as if he knows me, as if he was waiting for me, not Tomas. He spreads his arm out, presenting the prize that is Tomas. If you want him, come and get him. There's a calmness to his challenge. This is what he was hoping would happen. No one knows I'm strong. You couldn't possibly. I've never seen man bun before in my life. Tomas whimpers, so I decide it's worth the risk of my secret getting exposed to make sure Tomas gets home safely to his plump cat. Cesar isn't going to feed himself tonight. The second aggressor has ratty braids that whip around his head when he turns his chin to man bun. Do you need more proof than her busting out of the car? We sealed that thing. There's no way she's not one of his. He motions to my face as if that's another thing to prove his point. My eyebrows raise at the notion that I might belong to anyone. Man bun sizes up my car, not like he's going to steal it, but like he's impressed that I could open the door with which they'd evidently tampered. I want to book them both for an appointment so we can deal with their violent proclivities. Instead, my focus drifts to my poor friend. Tomas, is anything broken? No, he works out in a choked sob. I hate seeing Tomas cry. Once he had tears in his eyes when his other cat, Misker Whiskers, passed on. I couldn't stop bringing Tomas tea and offering him tissues. I deal with drawing out emotions in people all day long, but the sweet ones who cry over animals and precious things like that always get me in my soft spots. Do you like the book? Tomas's eyes catch on mine from across the parking lot. Run, Adelita, save yourself. Everything in me softens. Oh, Chiquito, I'm not leaving you. Close your eyes. It probably sounds like I'm trying to be kind and save him from seeing violent things, but that's only part of it. Truly, I'm saving him from learning my secret. I'm saving myself from explaining my abnormalities that I haven't been able to reason through myself. We have to be sure, says Longbraids. Father won't tolerate us bringing the wrong girl again. I frown when it sounds like they're talking about me being the reason they're here, even though it seems like Tomas was their mark. Who is their dad, and what could he possibly want with me? The men in camo stalk toward me, but I wait until Tomas's lashes sweep shut before I run at Man Bun. I'm not a trained fighter, but I don't need to be. It's almost no effort at all to cuff Man Bun around the throat. I'm angry that anyone might hurt someone who knits coffee cup cozies, as if the world has buckets and buckets of people like that. My hands are shaking, my rage clashing with fear of my strength that might never go away. and bringing both to the surface. I'm not a violent person. I don't want any part of this, but given the choice between accepting that Tomas would be beaten up or acting on an impulse to save him, I decide to deal with the guilt of participating in a brawl later. Man Bun's pulse jumps under my touch, as if he's offering up his heartbeat for me to hold. Maybe he thinks I'll be merciful, but the terror in his eyes tells me he's starting to rethink his life's choices. People don't fear me. They mostly ignore me. The few people who do know me smile in my direction when I round the corner. But this stranger whose name I don't even know stares into my freakishly blue eyes, his brown ones bulging. I'm guessing it's just now dawning on him that whatever he thought he was getting into by messing with Tomas, he had no idea. Man Bun tries to claw at my arm so he can choke in a breath, but my grip only tightens around his throat. Though I'm not fluid with my motions, it's easy to squeeze too hard as I shove him backward into Tomas's car. I don't mean to dent the hood with Man Bun's body, but a choked puff of agony emanates into the air. Terror slices through me. I know I've gone too far. That little fact turns my insides to pure chaos. I don't kill people. I recycle. I hug my patients. I stare at my hand as if I don't understand what it's doing. You hurt him, I explain to my victim as I panic, my conscience warring at the prospect of repaying violence with violence. Is this who I am? Would Mama be proud of me for unleashing like this? Though the criminal is struggling beneath my grip, it's Santiago's bright golden eyes I see in my imagination. Strength should be measured with gentleness. Use both wisely. Now you'll only be as strong as you are gentle. Fresh from a bus crash, I hadn't grasped the gravity of those words when Santiago first pulled me out. I loosen my grip on Man Bun's throat and instead coil my fingers around his wrist, snapping several important bones. Wrist bones are far easier to break than tungsten tubes, and they make noises infinitely more satisfying. I don't like this side of me. Are you still torn? It's obviously her, Long Braids shouts, his hands gripping my shoulders from behind to jerk me off his friend. It's a bad move on his part. My elbow aims for his gut, but I miss horribly and crack a couple of Long Braids' ribs. The quick movement costs me barely any effort, but my conscience screams. Panic pours out of me. Oops, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to do that. This is why I shouldn't fight. Long Braids doubles over, holding his side as he howls. His nonsensical swearing hits the air in time with his knees smacking the pavement. I slap Man Bun's head against the hood of the car once more, harder than I mean to. I hope I haven't cracked his skull, only knocked him out. His body sags and slips to the concrete, giving me the space to breathe, and my conscience the room to bleed out in the open. I didn't mean for this to happen. Thank you for letting me read to you tonight. Do you like my pretty bookmark? There it is, yeah. It's a cute little dangly one that my daughter gave me for Christmas. So interesting fact about that chapter. It did not put the dog to sleep. Not even close. Interesting fact about that chapter. The curse or the blessing that Santiago gave Adelita of you will only be as strong as you are gentle. That came from the wish that I wrote down for my daughter. I have 3 children, and my middle child is named Maybe, and Maybe got me that bookmark actually. And that was one of my hopes for her, is that she would only be as strong as she is gentle, so that she would have incredible strength, but also incredible gentleness, because I think that those 2 things need to be measured equally. So what do you think about that? Little hope. A little hope for future generations, little hope for ourselves. I hope you sleep well, rest well. You worked hard today, and you are worthy of taking care of yourself. You are worthy of being read to. You are worthy of a good night's sleep. Thank you for spending time with me tonight. And hopefully I'll see you tomorrow and we'll read chapter 2 together.